Welcome to the Morale Booster Network, a platform for entrepreneurs, career professionals, leaders, and the general public to give back to the society through coaching and mentoring. I remain your host, Dr. John Ugulu. I am an author, speaker, and strategist. I always say experience is the best teacher. You can stream or download this podcast from YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Player FM, and Pandora. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Morale Booster Podcast. I am Dr. John Ugulu, your host. In this season of From Idea to Impact, we will be navigating the journey of an author. We will dive deep into the creative process, the challenges, and the triumphs that come with bringing a book to life. In this episode, we are thrilled to welcome our guest author, Doug Gordon. He is the author of Charge Yourself Up for Success. Now let's embark on this inspiring journey together. Now, Doug is a 5 times award-winning international speaker, coach, consultant, trainer, radio presenter, healer, a journalist, and also an international best-selling author. He is the CEO of Leadership and Life Mastery Summit and also the CEO of D&S Performance Optimization Limited. Doug's international best-selling book, Charge Yourself Up for Success, was written to help and inspire people to better their lives. It is with a US publisher and has testimonies from 3 New York Times bestsellers, a Star Wars actress, and also a world record holder and a multi-millionaire TV celebrity businessman. So, ladies and gentlemen, we now know a little about our guest for today, and without any further ado, please join me as I welcome Doug Gordon to the show. Welcome, Doug. How are you?
John, I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Good to know you're doing well. And Doug is based in Europe. In what part of Europe are you currently in?
I'm in Dublin, in Ireland. So yeah,
Ireland, Dublin. Yes. And how's the weather over there?
Actually, John, do you know what? For November, it's absolutely beautiful out there. I was standing, grounding my feet this morning with my top off, with the sun shining, getting a bit of vitamin D as I was doing it. So I always like to start the day with a bit of grounding, and it can really help in terms of waking you up, but also getting the connective energy of the body into the earth as well, so that you're grounded in the decisions that you make and the ideas that you come up with.
Oh, that's awesome. Good to know. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, I see you have been doing amazing things, especially in the personal development space. Could you please share with us, outside of your book, your best-selling book, what precisely have you done? What area of coaching do you specialize in? How has coaching been for you?
Sure, John, and thank you for the question. So I spent 21 years in the investment world, where I worked my way up from customer service to sales director to head of sales, and then board director in the fund management world, basically selling mutual funds and hedge funds to big banks and institutions and such. But along the way, I did also play hockey, which was field hockey at the time, and I played Premier League level coaching and captaining internationals along the way. So I had 2 tiers that I really tried to work as hard in as possible. And that was sport and also in terms of work as well. And during that time period, obviously as a manager and leader in terms of business and a captain in terms of sport, you learn how to get the best out of people, work with people as a team, create a culture of positivity within the team, within the organization, whatever it might be. And then I ended up, unfortunately, because obviously the markets fell through the floor back in 2008, and I got a little bit stressed, had a a lot of stress that led to ailments, to operations that went wrong, and then a near-death experience. And after that, I kind of came back with this kind of passion and purpose to try and help others as well in some way or form. And that's where I really got into the personal development. Initially, I got into energy healing to heal myself because I was going through a lot of crap myself. But then I learned how to heal other people as well. And the healing turned to life coaching, to radio shows. I interviewed about 300 people, including New York Times bestsellers, sports stars, film stars, top CEOs, to understand what made them successful in life. And also got to hang around with these people, become friends with these people, speak on stage with these people, and then obviously decided to write a book based on my own experiences and my own successes and my own life experiences, but also learning from them as well. And that's where I came up with the book, but obviously, which you can see behind me there, but also have Charge Yourself Up for Success, Energizing Your Life, Work, and Relationships. And it is all about energizing your life so that you have the best and you bring the best to life. It's about, that obviously if you do that, you'll bring that to your work as well and your relationships, and they all interact in terms of in between, in terms of what they can do for each other as well. So that's basically what I've done. I do a lot of stuff in terms of coaching, consulting, corporate training, speaking on stages. Next week, I'm speaking in London at the Global Convention for the Institute of Directors. I'll be main keynote speaker there. Week after, I'm speaking a load of corporates. Then I do lots of coaching, healing. It can be executive coaching, life coaching, you name it. I do it, and it's all about just helping others and touching hearts in some way or form.
All right. I love that. It's all about touching lives, helping people overcome limiting beliefs. And we really do appreciate you for all you do. Thank you so much for serving, because that's a way of serving, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think one of the things I always tell people is I have two ways of finding a direction in life. And number one of those is to turn your messes into messages and give them meaning in some way or form. So obviously I went through a near-death experience. I've been through a divorce and other things that I wouldn't want to talk about, but they were quite, horrible, shall I say. And but having learned from them and reframed them in my mindset in terms of understanding that actually they were actually for me rather than against me, it really helps me to learn from them, to grow from them, and then to help other people from them as well. So you can turn your mess into a message and give it meaning, or your tragedy into a triumph to help others. But you can also look at, what are you gifted at doing in this lifetime? What do you really love and enjoy doing in this lifetime? And what can you add value to people in some way or form? So you get those matches of what you love doing and enjoy doing, what you're gifted at doing, and what can add value to people. It can give a kind of a direction in life. Or the final way that I always tell people in terms of finding their direction or purpose is I've spoken on stage in front of 5,000 people. I've had a radio show which was beamed out in one particular show, had live listeners of about 360,000. If I was to give you a stage in front of 10,000 people, you were 90 years of age, and we beamed it out to the 8 billion people on the planet, what would you speak about? What would you be most passionate about? What legacy would you like to leave? And when you know what that is, you can reverse engineer yourself back to where you are today and decide, what do I need to learn? Who do I need to collaborate with? Who do I need to model to be able to stand on that stage, give that speech, and leave that legacy?
Yes. Thank you so much. Turn your mess into your message. Yes, I agree with you on that. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for all you do. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us for the very first time, please remember to like and share this broadcast. And here's the reason why. It's because you might just be saving the life of that one person who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear the message that we will be sharing today. So, like and share it. Thank you as you do that. We're still live with Doug Gordon, all the way from Ireland, Dublin. He is the author of Charge Yourself Up for Success. Now, this episode is all about talking about navigating the journey of an author. And our guest is an author. And before I go into asking you details on how you became an author, the challenges you've been through, could you please share with my audience where they can get your book?
Yeah, sure. So the book published with a proper US publisher, Beyond Publishing, and you can get the book basically in, obviously Amazon is the place that I would prefer, but you can get it anywhere. You can get it in, like if you're over in the States, you can get it in Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart. Over in the UK, you can get it in Waterstones. Over in Ireland here, you can get it in Hodges and Fidges. You name it. Basically, it's in pretty much every store around the world at the moment. And yeah, I'll be very honored if everybody seems to enjoy the book. As I said, as you said earlier on, there's 3 New York Times bestsellers who's read and testimony the book, and they include Lisa Nichols from The Secret film, Stephen Covey, who obviously people will know as well as the New York Times bestseller, and then from Ireland, I've had Eamon Quinn, who is multimillionaire Dragon's Den, which is like Shark Tank over here, and as well as that, Pat Falvey, who's done the North Pole, South Pole, and Everest twice as well. So I've got some really good people who've read the book, liked the book, and testimonied the book as well. And it's all about finding purpose. It's all about understanding, what are your triggers, traumas, parental programs that you might be playing that make you distracted on what you really want rather than what you don't want. And it's about understanding how can you optimize energy, optimize your performance in life? How can you improve your relationships in terms of emotional intelligence? How can you be successful both in business, in life, and your relationships as well? And there's lots of bits behind those as well. So if anybody would like to read the book, I'd be very honored, and it would be great. As I said, you can get it on Amazon, it's probably the best, but all the stores as well.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So the book is available on Amazon.com. So go get a copy now. And he just told you that it's a book that can help you transition from where you are to where you truly want to be. So thank you so much. And now we need to go straight to my very main question for today. My question is, what inspired you, Doug, to start writing? And was there a particular moment or experience that set you on this path as an author?
Yeah, so the real moment of change was going right back, as I said, to 2008. And the stock market in September 2008 went through the floor. And I was working as a sales director for one of the biggest fund managers in the UK. And we lost a lot of billions, basically, went out the door, as most financial institutions did. And we had to lay off people, and it was very stressful for us, especially when you're an empathetic kind of kind guy that you kind of like really look out for your team and you're watching your team carry boxes out the door. And at that point, I started getting stressed myself, even though, I was performing very well, but because of the general atmosphere, it was really tough for everybody, I think. And at that point, then the ailments that I had was all stress related, and I saw doctors and then specialists. And then, as I said, I had 2 operations that went wrong that left me having chronic pain in the abdomen, which was like I was being punched in the stomach. And a lot of it was stress orientated stuff. And I didn't know how to handle the stress at the time. And I was eating the wrong foods, drinking too much alcohol, partying too hard, burning the candle at the wrong end, and all that kind of stuff. And that didn't help at all. And during that time period, it was pretty horrific. It really affected my marriage. My marriage broke down and everything like that. I've got 2 kids, so it really affected them as well. And I just decided, having gone through all of this, and when I had the near-death experience, where basically I got something called the norovirus, which is like a stomach bomb. And after 10 days of serious dehydration, I was rushed to hospital where the ECG and the ambulance at heart, blood pressure doubled, went into A&E, rushed down to X-ray. And on the way down to X-ray, suddenly I was encapsulated in this amazing feeling of love, energy, connection. All the pain that was like really there suddenly just dissipated. And there was no man with a beard, but there was this like living, conscious, loving energy that was surrounding and connecting me to everything. And I knew I was having this near-death experience, and obviously I came back, otherwise I wouldn't be speaking to you now. And I decided I had to change in some way or form. And initially it was difficult because the ego gets in the way, right? And the ego, I always say, can be edging God out in terms of an acronym, or it can also mean Earth Guide only. And my Earth Guide only was still pointing me in the direction of purely kind of, investments and money and everything like that. And I really needed a change to make my whole life about adding value to other people, giving to other people, as you said, and giving service to other people in some way or form. And at that point, then gradually, I moved out of the industry or started doing it on the side. I always say to people, if you've got a good job and you've got a family, you've got bills to pay, don't just rush out because you have something like a near-death experience. Start something on the side, build it up on the side as a kind of like a passion project. And when it gets to a certain level where it can substantiate and look after you in terms of a living, then make the move. And that's what I did. And I initially, made the move, but always had the book in my back of my mind. But I needed to get more out of it. So I decided, there's no point just getting your own perspective on life. I think it's important to be able to understand with empathy what other people have gone through as well, the good and the bad. And that's why I got into the radio show, which was called Inspirational People, Inspirational Stories. I have it now as a podcast, which is sponsored by Together magazine. And during that time period, as I said, I interviewed over 300 people. And they've included, Premier League footballers, international rugby players, sports stars, film stars, New York Times bestsellers. And it was to understand not just about what was successful in terms of money, but success in life. And that can mean love as well, and family as well. So it was really trying to understand that. What did they do? Did they go through tragedies, which some of them did? Some of them went through cancer. Some of them went through ailments. Some of them went through horrific accidents and have come back from that, learned from that, and become a better version of themselves. So I wanted to compile a manuscript together of my own experiences, but also the experiences of the people that I interviewed as well, to try and add value and better people's lives. And that's how I came up with the book, Charge Yourself Up for Success, Energizing Your Life, Work, and Relationships. And really, the true title is Energizing Your Life, Your Work, and Your Relationships. But Charge Yourself Up for Success obviously gets me into the corporations to be able to do some corporate training and also motivational speeches as well. So that's why it's come up with the name. And I have to say, anyone who's writing a book out there, I would highly recommend, which I did, is first start with the mindset of how can I set up a course to add value to people in some way or form. And that way you can have it as a video course or some kind of online course, put it into chapters, maybe 10 different topics that you might want to think about. And then each of these individual topics, set up maybe some slides, do some video. I got a videographer who went into a nice hotel. We videoed them. And then I took the transcript of that as the starting point of the book. I think it made about 21,000 words, that transcript. And then I added out, and I think it's about 70,000 words now. So utilizing that, then you've obviously got, as a coach and a consultant, you've got an online course, passive income, which you can obviously use and advertise. Then you've got the book as well, which is also passive income, but it's also a great calling card, because when you go into a company or you meet somebody in terms of a high net worth client, you can pass the book over and boom, next minute they're, it's a bit more impressed than just a general company card. So then you've got passive income streams coming in, but also you've got different ways to add value to people in some way or form. And then like yourself, John, I have a podcast and radio show, so you can utilize that then to get to know new people, learn new things, and utilize that to help others even further as well. And I do mastermind groups. I do a lot of speaking, both webinars, seminars, and also on stage speaking as well. So you can utilize that. You can collaborate with other people, and you can almost have a whole business plan around the book, around the course, and around the podcast as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And those are all great strategies you just pointed out. And for those authors or new authors who are looking out for strategies on how to, stay in the game, in the business of writing, those are great strategies for them. And thank you so much for sharing that. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are with Doug Gordon. Please like and share it. We're just starting. So like and share this broadcast, because you might just be saving the life of that one person who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear this message. And I know writing is not as easy as people think it is. No good thing comes easily, right? So I know you experienced a few challenges here and there while you were trying to, come up with your book. Can you share some of the biggest challenges you faced in your writing journey and how you were able to overcome them?
Sure, John. I think one of the biggest things in terms of writing is to be able to get into your creative mind, your connective mind. So making sure that you're coming in a state of flow from your heart space rather than your head space. Because when we get too much into the head side, we come from a place of ego sometimes. But when we come from the heart space, we come from a place of love. And sometimes as well, people don't realize, I mentioned earlier at the start of the podcast, that I tend to ground myself every day to make sure that I'm grounded. And the reason being is because I as well as a coach, I'm an intuitive psychic. So I can pick up on, read people in terms of their energy. But also, if you think about it, your voice has energy. Even your thought patterns has energy. They're energy waves. So you can walk into a room and two people have just had an argument and you can feel the tension in the room, even though they might not be saying anything, and you walk straight back out. So as an intuitive psychic, quite often what happens is I can be in my house, and like I'm in a house here, and there's houses next door and all around me and all that kind of stuff. There's people chatting away, thinking, speaking, acting, whatever it is. And I can sometimes pick up on their radio waves, as I often call them. So one of the biggest challenges for me, and one of the most interesting things I found, is that my flow state in terms of writing the book was best between the hours of 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. And the reason being because everybody was asleep. And there was less noise, shall we say, around me. So I was able to get into that state of flow, that state of focus. And there were some evenings, some nights or whatever, where I would literally be able to write 2,000 words without even thinking. Because I'll have obviously done the preparation. You need to do the preparation. You need to have a good idea of the direction you want to go. You need to have the titles of each of the individual chapters of what you're about to write and have it very much embedded in your brain. But sometimes actually getting it from your head self, your heart self, out on the paper or out into the computer, it can be much easier when you're in that flow state. And when there's less distraction, you can have more action. And that's what I really found. So that would be one of my first tips as well. And also putting yourself in the energy of something, you bring more of it to you. And I'll give you an example of that. Next week I'm speaking at the Institute of Directors for India for their global convention. And there's going to be people like the CEO of Cobra Beer, which is one of the biggest beer companies in the world. There's going to be the chairman of Oil and Gas India there, the foreign secretary there, many other cool people, right? And I was there 2 years ago as the main keynote speaker as well, talking about sustainability and climate change. And I was there, and as a divorced guy, I hadn't seen my daughter for a little while, and I was dreaming while I was kind of in between speeches, thinking about her and wishing she'd reach out, surrounded by these beautiful Indian people and talking about sustainability and climate change. I left the conference, I went onto the airplane, sat on the window seat, and suddenly this guy sat down next to me with his daughter in his lap, and she was 1, and she started reaching out to me. And when I started speaking to him, he was one of the lead consultants for EY, Ernst & Young, in sustainability and climate change. And to his right on the aisle seat was his wife, who was Indian. So what I'm trying to say is that when you put yourself in the energy of something, you'll bring more of it to you as well. So in order to write effectively, a very good thing, there's a very good book written by Julia Cameron, and she talks about the morning pages. And what you can actually do is you can get up in the morning and take an A4 pad out and just start writing and not even thinking about what you're writing about. And if you can start and you can't think about what you're writing, just write, I can't think about what I'm writing, and just write that and just keep writing. And suddenly something will click, and then you'll start writing something with a bit more inspiration. And what it does, it opens up the right side of the brain. It makes you more creative. And if you do this for 30 days in the row, just maybe say 3 A4 sheets, it really brings the creative side of you out. And that can really help you in terms of writing the book as well. And I often say, when you're writing a book, when I was writing the book, I wasn't necessarily focusing on the paragraphs or the chapters. Well, I kind of had the chapters in my head, but it was more about just getting it out there, because then you can obviously edit it yourself afterwards, or you can then get your editor to do it for you as well. So it's all about getting the flow and information out on there in a storytelling, fun kind of way to add value to people. And also to remember that some people out there get imposter syndrome thinking, everybody's written a personal development book or a near-death book or a success book. Why would they want to listen to me? But actually, you've got a different story. You've got a different perspective. And you can come from your own stories, your own perspectives, and your own experiences that might just touch one person's heart. And as long as you have the intention of just serving one person and not trying to sell 100 million copies, that can really help you in terms of getting the right words out on the page and really add value to people in some way or form.
Right. Thank you so much. So it is safe to say that going through challenging times when putting a book together is normal. So it's safe to say there would always be challenges along the way, right?
Oh, 100%. And look, there's times where you can.
Safe? Okay, so it is safe to let aspiring. Yeah, go ahead.
Say that again there, John. Sorry, I missed that one.
No, I was going to say, so it is safe to tell aspiring authors that they will encounter challenges in the process of writing a book.
100%. And this is why I think it's really important to be very disciplined in terms of getting yourself into the right state. So I have a little morning routine where I would say, I am grateful statements, get myself into the right state. I would meditate and visualize myself writing well in terms of the book as well. I would write down my goals for the day in terms of a state of intention, close my eyes and visualize each of those goals in a state of celebration as well. And what you're doing is you're putting yourself in the right state and the mindset to be able to write as well. And also really kind of get into a space where it is quiet. Maybe you need to go away to a country house, country home, a hotel or somewhere like that to get yourself away from the noise. And then when you can get away from that, then it can really help you as well. But also don't be dismayed if you have periods where you just can't think of the next chapter. It's fine. Just maybe go for a walk, go for a run, go for a cycle, and just get into a state of you're listening to your breath, your heart self. And when you center yourself again, then try and go back to it. You might just find some inspiration comes from somewhere, if that makes sense.
Yes, that resonates with me. Thank you so much for sharing that. Before we got on the live broadcast, you told me you were working on another book, right? Um, how has your writing process evolved over time? And what have you learned about yourself as a writer along the way?
Well, I've actually got two books I'm writing. So one is a fiction book, and it does have aspirations of or intentions of my own self and what I went through in it. But then I'm adding in some fun stuff and comedy and everything like that as well. So that is actually a true story. Actually, is that during the pandemic, I broke up with my former girlfriend. I was devastated. I spent 3 months in celibacy. And then my daughter at the time, who was about 13, said to me, Dad, you need to get out there dating. And during the pandemic, I actually did 50 dates in 5 months and had lots of fun doing it. So I'm going to write a kind of a 50 dates in 5 months fun book. Some of it will be true and some of it will be fiction. So that's one book. That's kind of like a bit of a fun book. And then the other side is because I do a lot of training in terms of presentation skills, sales skills, and communication skills. Because I present on stage a lot, and obviously I have the side where I presented a lot through corporate sales and being a corporate head of sales and having to put presentations together for fund managers and salespeople, and then presenting them myself on big stages. And then on top of that, now presenting my own personal development stuff, leadership stuff, sales stuff, and all that on stage. I'm doing a book on that as well. So that'll be more about adding value to corporates and being able to come in and do the presentation, do the corporate training, and then be able to hand them something afterwards to say, okay, this is a lot of the stuff that we just covered. Here you go, boom. Because I've got courses and corporate training material on it, but I haven't actually got a book on that. Although a lot of it is in here, but it's not specific to here because this is more broad based towards success in life rather than just in business.
Thank you so much for sharing. So, from your response, it means your writing process has evolved because things can only get better. The next book you're going to write, you would certainly at some point say, "Oh, this I prefer this one to the previous one." Do you anticipate such um, level of progress to say, "Hey, the next book you will be writing would of course be better than the one you just have out right now"? Do you anticipate that?
I don't know, John, because this book that's out at the moment came really from the heart. And it doesn't just talk about success. It talks about how to live a life of love as well. I always say love is an acronym for lots of vibrant energy. I have a methodology and a process in the book, and it's based around the acronym of MAKE, which is mindset, actions, knowledge, and energy. In terms of getting yourself into the right mindset, so that you can, get the best results. Because if you think about it, in business, the results you get come from the actions that you take, and the actions you take come from the decisions that you make. Decisions you make come from the habits that you create, and the habits come from the mindset, the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you act. So number one in anything in life to get the best results is mindset. Now, then in a grounded fashion, you need to actually take some action, but it needs to be very focused, direct, and correct action. So in terms of what my coaching, I don't just coach, I advise as well. I don't just advise, I give examples of what I've done in the past. I've been in the corporate world, I've been in the newspapers for success in the corporate world. So I give actionable steps and practical examples of what you can do to make your business successful, or your life successful, or your relationship successful. So that's the action side. Knowledge in terms of knowledge if it's client knowledge, it's know your client, know your product, know your industry, and match your client needs to your USPs. But knowledge is also about awareness, and that self-awareness and understanding how you can self-improve, but also people awareness, client awareness, situational awareness, market awareness. And that knowledge can help you in terms of getting the right actions in place, adding to the mindset. And then the final bit of the MAKE acronym, which is energy. And it's how can we optimize our energy? Are we eating right? Are we physically, exercising enough? Is our physiology right? Are we thinking in correct way in terms of not procrastination, not having fear, coming from a place of love? Are our emotions self-regulated in the right way so that we optimize our energy to optimize our performance in whatever we do? So that MAKE acronym is kind of like the main body of the book and what I go through. And that's something that came from the heart, came from passion, came from a lot of experience in the past. And I will still have the same kind of concepts in the other, well, not obviously the fiction book, but in the sales book as well. Because even in sales, you need the right mindset. You need to take the right actions in terms of cold calling, making sales, making presentations, see people. You need to have knowledge of the clients and understanding what they need and their USPs. And then you need to bring lots of positive energy and vibrancy in it as well. So that's where really those kind of ideas have come in. And they've been coming from, I'm 50 now, so they've come from, a lifetime of learnings. And they're all in this book, in this best way or form. The sales book will be an extension of this, in terms of there's a chapter in this on sales and success in that respect, but there'll be a much more in-depth idea of how to, get into that side as well. If that makes sense.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That resonates well with me, and I do appreciate you for sharing that with us. So yeah, let's go to the next question. And this is going to be my last question for today before we give you a minute to inspire somebody who needs that inspiration out there. So, what role do you think feedback from readers and other writers has played in your development as an author?
Yeah, well, look, the feedback that I've had, one guy actually read the book 3 times. He'd gone through some serious trauma, was suffering from massive addiction in terms of alcohol, and the book really helped him. And actually, it inspired him to write his own book as well. And his own book's now on Amazon as well, which is fantastic. So look, when someone writes a book, reads a book 3 times in a row and shows it on social media and I don't know this guy that well at all, it shows a really positive impact that it's having. And I've had positive people saying about the book that it's a mix between, say, something like The Secret or Wayne Dyer, if people know who Wayne Dyer is, and then a kind of a business book as well. So a mix holistic and business. So the feedback that I've had is that it's very unusual to be able to mix the spiritual and the business side of things together, which is good because that's what I'm all about. I have a business side and my Buddha side, as I often say as well. So there isn't many books out there. There are much more now than there were in the past, but really cover that side of ourselves. And I think it's really important for us to be able to get into that as well. And the people enjoy it. I have some acronyms in there, which is a bit of fun. I mentioned the MAKE one. I love, for me, is lots of vibrant energy. And I also always talk about, in terms of the book, of gleaming your inner light. And my GLEAM acronym is basically goals and gratitude and grounding yourself, as I was mentioning earlier on. L is learning, you learn to earn, but also letting go, because the past is history, the future is a mystery, the present is a gift, so live in the now. E is energy, in terms of your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual energy, and aligning those in the best possible way, but also emotional intelligence, in terms of self-awareness, which I mentioned earlier on, self-regulation, empathy, compassion, and that state of inspiration or purpose, which we talked about earlier on as well. A is authenticity and affirmations. You're the person who speaks to yourself the most, so try and make it positive. And then finally, M is meaning and modeling the masters. So meaning in terms of that sense of purpose again, and then modeling the masters to get yourself there quicker, faster, and easier. So yeah, that would be a little bit about the book and a little bit about what I'm trying to do in the world as well.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Um, so I will typically we always ask our guests to share some words of encouragement, words of wisdom, advice to aspiring authors who are out there who think right now they do not have a story to put down, and they see it as an impossible journey because there's so many people who never imagined themselves becoming authors. So, looking back on your journey, what advice would you give to aspiring writers who are just starting out? We'll give you 1 minute to talk to them.
Yeah, sure. Look, I always say that everybody in life has a story. We used to sit around campfires in the past and tell our stories to each other. And, I truly believe that we come down to this planet to learn, to grow, to evolve, to become better versions of ourselves. And as I said earlier, having had a near death experience, I truly believe, as Einstein says, energy never dissipates, it just moves from one form to another. And based on that premise, as spiritual beings having a physical existence, why would we just come down as you or I? Why would he not come down as the king, the queen, the prince, the pauper, the invalid, the Olympian, to experience life in different ways and different perspectives, to understand the true meaning of this wonderful thing that we call life? And we all have a story. And sometimes that story can be a difficult story. And if you've gone through a difficult time, maybe pat yourself on the back. Maybe you played this game of life so often that you're testing yourself, the ultimate, to see if you can get through all this crap and come out the other side as the best version of yourself. And as I said, turn your mess into a message and give it meaning to help others. So I'm sure there's some story out there that you've got that can help others in some way or form.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You know, there is a saying that whatever has a beginning would surely have an end. Ladies and gentlemen, it is about that time to allow our friend, Doug Gordon, all the way from Ireland, Dublin, to go about his normal activities for the day. If you have not already shared this podcast, please like and share it. And the reason is because you might just be saving the life of that one person who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear this message. So thank you so much, Doug. And I hope when next I invite you to come share your story, you will be willing to come and inspire our audience.
Thanks, John. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yes, and his contact information is right there with you. You can always, in fact, I want you all to please go and follow him right now on social media. He is on several platforms. He's on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. His website is dogdgordon.com. All that information is available to you all right now. We thank God the world is now a global village. With a click of a button, you can access people. So follow him on social media. If you've got any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to send him a DM. All right. Thank you so much, Doug. It's been a pleasure having you on this program.
Thanks,
All
John.
right. So, yes. So, to everyone listening, we are excited to share some amazing ways for you to stay connected with our mission and continue to grow together. And some of the ways you can get involved are: number one, you can support our mission and help us continue uplifting lives by making a donation. And your generosity allows us to keep spreading hope and positivity. Uh, if you want to make a donation today, go to our website, www.johnugulu.com, JOHNUGHULU.com. And also, if you are looking for some inspiration, you can check out our collection of inspirational books that are designed to motivate and encourage you on your journey. You can also get those books on our website, johnugulu.com. And also, you can tune in to our latest episodes where we share powerful messages of hope, resilience, and personal growth. You can listen now and let the words lift your spirit. You can download this podcast via our website, johnugulu.com. And lastly, you can also become a part of our growing community where we uplift and inspire one another every day. So subscribe today and receive exclusive content, daily motivation, and access to special events and coaching programs. All these can be done via the website, johnugulu.com. So thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Together, we can continue to make a lasting impact and spread positivity in all we do. So I don't know where you're listening to us from right now. You, yes, you who's listening. I don't know what part of the world you are. I don't even know what you know about yourself. Neither do I know what the people around you know about you. But hey, here is one thing that I, John, know about you. I know for sure that you have greatness within you. I know for sure that you have everything within you. Yes, you who's listening right now, you do have everything within you to take your life from where it is right now to where you want it to be. You have everything within you to become the best version of yourself. And remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Stay blessed, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you once again, Doug, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.